The world is shifting fast, and today's headlines bring major developments on the global stage. From the Trump administration's renewed military aid to Ukraine and escalating trade tensions with Canada, to Israel cutting off electricity in Gaza, a landmark arrest in the Philippines, and new research raising alarms about antibiotic-resistant superbugs, there's a lot to cover. Stay tuned as we break down the latest updates, the stories shaping economies, conflicts, and technology, and what it all means for the future. Now let's get into today's top stories. The Trump administration has resumed military aid and intelligence sharing with Ukraine, following high-level discussions in Saudi Arabia. In a significant diplomatic shift, Kyiv expressed openness to a 30-day ceasefire contingent on Russia's agreement. Secretary of State Marco Rubio confirmed that the U.S. would present this proposal to Moscow, stating, "Ukraine is ready to stop shooting and start talking. And now it'll be up to them to say yes or no." National Security Advisor Mike Waltz emphasized that the discussions also focused on long-term security guarantees, with Trump lifting the suspension on military aid as part of the negotiations. According to Waltz, the Ukrainian delegation expressed alignment with Trump's vision for peace. The former president later suggested a deal with Russia could be reached over the next few days. For now, the Kremlin has remained silent on the matter. Russian spokesperson Maria Zakharova acknowledged that discussions with U.S. officials could take place this week, but attacks have continued. Ukraine has reported ongoing missile strikes and drone warfare across multiple regions, underscoring the fragile nature of any potential ceasefire. The economic standoff between the U.S. and Canada has intensified. President Donald Trump has announced a 50% tariff on all steel and aluminum imports from Canada, doubling the previous rate. The move comes in direct response to Ontario's planned 25% surcharge on electricity exports to the U.S. Trump also called on Canada to remove tariffs on American dairy products, warning of further trade penalties, including an auto import tariff hike set for April 2nd, if Ottawa does not comply. Ontario Premier Doug Ford has remained defiant, stating he will not drop the electricity surcharge unless Trump eliminates all tariffs on Canadian goods. The financial markets reacted swiftly, with the S&P 500 dropping nearly 1% and the Canadian dollar declining. Canada's Toronto Stock Exchange also saw a dip of 0.5%, reflecting growing concerns over economic instability and inflation. The ripple effects extend beyond Canada. Trump's broader 25% tariffs on all steel and aluminum imports, including those from Mexico, Brazil, and South Korea, are now set to take effect, removing previously established trade exemptions. Tensions in the Middle East continue to escalate as Israel cuts off electricity to Gaza. The move follows Hamas's refusal to extend the first phase of a ceasefire agreement, increasing pressure on the group to release more hostages. Israeli Energy Minister Eli Cohen stated, "We will employ all the tools available to us so that all the hostages will return," signaling that additional measures may follow. Israel had already halted the entry of goods into Gaza, and Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu warned of additional consequences should Hamas fail to comply with Israeli demands. The militant group has insisted on upholding the original ceasefire terms, which include Israel's full withdrawal from Gaza and discussions on a long-term truce. Hamas Political Bureau member Ezat al-Rishk condemned the latest developments, calling Israel's actions a desperate attempt to pressure our people. Israeli officials argue that maintaining a presence in Gaza's Philadelphia corridor is necessary to prevent weapons smuggling. Talks are set to resume in Doha, but with the humanitarian situation worsening, desalination plants at risk of shutting down, and water access dwindling, concerns over Gaza's stability continue to grow. A major legal development in the Philippines. Former President Rodrigo Duterte has been arrested in Manila and extradited to the Netherlands, where he faces charges of crimes against humanity at the International Criminal Court. Duterte was detained after returning from Hong Kong, with authorities citing his role in a deadly anti-drug campaign that claimed thousands of lives. Duterte has demanded legal justification for his arrest, while his daughter, Vice President Sara Duterte, has condemned the government's compliance with the ICC warrant. The former president's legal team is fighting the extradition, arguing that since the Philippines withdrew from the ICC in 2019, the court lacks jurisdiction. Reaction to the arrest has been polarizing. Families of victims have welcomed the move, calling it a long-overdue step toward justice. Meanwhile, former Senator Antonio Trillanes described Duterte's detention as the downfall of an emperor, urging accountability for his allies. The Marcos administration has defended its decision, stating that, as a member of Interpol, the Philippines was required to comply. Amid growing trade tensions, Ontario Premier Doug Ford has temporarily suspended the planned 25% surcharge on electricity exports to the U.S. The move follows a call with U.S. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick, in which both parties agreed to resume trade negotiations. Following the conversation, the White House confirmed that Trump would not impose an additional 25% tariff on steel and aluminum imports beyond what was already set to take effect. However, the administration remains firm on enforcing existing tariffs with no exemptions. Ford has announced plans to travel to Washington to meet with U.S. officials and discuss potential updates to the U.S.-Mexico-Canada agreement. Meanwhile, the White House has framed the situation as a win, with spokesman Kush Desai stating, "President Trump has once again used the leverage of the American economy, which is the best and biggest in the world, to deliver a win for the American people." Despite the pause in Ontario's surcharge, Trump has confirmed that a separate 25% tariff on additional Canadian imports will take effect on April 6th. A concerning new study has revealed that microplastics may be contributing to the growth of antibiotic-resistant superbugs. Published in the journal Applied Environmental and Microbiology, the research found that E. coli biofilms on microplastics grew faster, larger, and more resistant to antibiotics compared to those on glass surfaces. Neela Gross, a researcher involved in the study, explained that microplastics facilitate bacterial movement across different environments, potentially accelerating the spread of antibiotic-resistant strains. Experts are calling for further investigation, as this study was conducted under controlled laboratory conditions. If the findings hold true in real-world environments, microplastics could pose a significant public health risk. Canadians planning to stay in the U.S. for 30 days or longer will soon face new entry requirements. Beginning April 11th, travelers must register with the Department of Homeland Security and undergo fingerprinting. They will also be required to carry proof of registration at all times while in the U.S. Immigration lawyer Patrice Brunet has described the change as a drastic policy shift, arguing that it treats Canadians like visitors from any other country. Rudy Butignol, president of the Canadian Association of Retired Persons, noted that many Canadians feel insulted by the move, viewing it as an unnecessary bureaucratic burden. The policy marks a significant departure from the historically close and flexible border relationship between the two nations. Finally, Meta is making a major push toward in-house AI chip development, aiming to reduce its reliance on NVIDIA and other hardware manufacturers. According to Reuters, the company is currently testing a proprietary chip designed to handle AI-specific workloads, developed in partnership with Taiwan's TSMC. Meta has previously deployed custom AI chips, but primarily for running models rather than training them. If the current test phase proves successful, the company plans to expand production. With an estimated $65 billion in capital expenditures this year, much of it going toward NVIDIA GPUs, Meta's shift to in-house hardware could significantly reduce costs and boost long-term AI development efforts. That's all for tonight's news update. Thank you for joining us. We'll continue to monitor these stories and bring you the latest developments. Stay safe, stay informed, and have a good night. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel. And don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you never miss an update.